The Calgary Police Service Homicide Unit continues to investigate a shooting at Forest Lawn that left multiple people injured and one deceased. At approximately 9 p.m. Saturday, June 3rd, 2017, two masked men approached an outdoor basketball court located in the 4800 block of 14th Avenue Southeast and fired shots before running away from the scene. Three victims were driven to hospital, where one later succumbed to their injuries. A fourth victim later attended hospital on Sunday, June 4th for treatment of injuries sustained during that incident. Investigators believe this was a targeted shooting. The motive remains unknown at this time, and there were approximately 20 people gathered in the area at the time of the shooting. Officers have spoken with dozens of witnesses and continue to ask that anyone with information about this incident call police or Crime Stoppers. The deceased victim of the shooting has been identified as Renato Toy, 22, of Calgary. Anyone who may have information about this incident is again encouraged to contact police by calling 403-266-1234 or the Homicide Unit tip line at 403-428-8877. Tips can also be left anonymously by contacting Crime Stoppers. I'll answer what questions I can.
How concerning is it for you? I mean, this is the second murder in just a matter of 2 days, and again in a very public spot with, quite frankly, bystanders and people not involved around.
Yeah, it's very concerning. It's as concerning for police as it is for the community. We and our families live in the same communities, use the same amenities as everybody else, so it's equally as concerning. And that's why we believe it's important that there should be zero tolerance for this type of behavior, and anybody that has any information about this or any other incident of late should contact police.
Obviously, we know Renato from his involvement in the Stampede stabbing. Are you guys exploring correlation between that? Because is it a potential retaliation situation we're seeing here?
Well, we're looking at several, aspects of motivation. We'll know more as the investigation matures, but at this point, it's too early to say what exactly the motivation may have been.
How cooperative are the other victims being during this investigation?
I don't know that particularly. I believe there's varying degrees of cooperation. I'm not certain to what levels, though.
You said they were targeted. Was it the four victims that were targeted, or one specific person, or?
Well, being as it's still in the early stages of the investigation, we're still trying to determine who exactly was targeted, if it was the group or one individual, and who that individual might have been. So again, we'd encourage anybody with any information to come forward and give us a hand.
Can you talk about how gutsy it is kind of on the shooter's part to be, broad daylight, even the mask situation, it seems kind of like from a movie. You don't think you're going to hear about this stuff here in Calgary, but
yeah, it's concerning. I wouldn't refer to it as gutsy. I think it better showcases what a complete lack of disrespect that these individuals have for the community as a whole. They have their personal motivation, whatever that is, and it's clear that they could not care less about anybody else that may be in these areas.
Is brazen a better word further than to Lucy's question?
That's one word you could describe. There's several probably you could use. That would be another one.
Or do you suspect any possible gang involvement?
Gang, not so much. Believe that there's some criminal associations at play here, but not necessarily. I wouldn't use the term gang.
Are the victims, is there any way you can classify them? Are some of them bystanders? Are they known to police? Or were they all four of them targeted?
Well, again, who is targeted is still subject of the investigation at this point as a priority. The other individuals are known to police in varying degrees.
Are there any concerns over retaliation?
There's always a concern, not just for retaliation, but acts of violence like this. So, like I've said before, the CPS is committed on an ongoing basis to strategically investigate and suppress groups that may be responsible for this type of violence, and that continues daily. It's just not always broadcast for public consumption, but every day there's something that goes on in the Calgary Police Service to try to combat this type of thing.
And how concerned are you for public safety, and is there anything public can do in something like this?
Yeah, it's always a concern. In particular, the random acts we see. This one in particular was not random, but the random ones are. I guess by virtue of the environment, this one, although targeted, there was several people put in jeopardy who were probably undeserving of that. So it's always a concern.
Witnesses that weren't involved in the shooting, like the actual victims, but the witnesses that may have seen something, were they all cooperative? Were they helpful in giving you information, or they didn't want any part of it?
Yeah, there's several. Like I said, there was in the neighborhood of 20 people present there. Most, if not all, have been interviewed, and there's always, with large groups of witnesses, there's varying degrees of information that's brought forward. But anybody who has any information is encouraged to call or contact police, because you never know what your little piece of information could be a big point in moving a file forward.
Is the diversity unit involved in this investigation at all? Is there a community liaison that you guys are specifically dealing with?
Yeah, there's always, like I said, not just post-incident, but there's collaboration that is ongoing daily in regards to things like that. So it's not something that gets necessarily activated as a result of, but more of just how we do business on a regular basis.
Can you talk about how that relationship is? I know this community has seen a lot of violence in the last year. How are community leaders responding? Are they helpful, or are they just as lost as?
They're always helpful. Any of our community leaders are always helpful and are considered great partners in how we do business on a regular basis. What's unfortunate is that for a very small minority of, like, number-wise, their actions don't necessarily reflect on that whole community, and it's not never an accurate reflection of those communities.
Do you see any connection between Mr. Toy and the two guys that were shot in May at the Mackenziestown Superstore?
I don't believe so. No, we believe those to be unrelated incidents.
When you talk about working with the community, can you take it a step further with how CPS is working to suppress potential future events?
Not in detail, but I can tell you, between the gang suppression team, patrol officers, diversity section, guns and gangs unit, like, there's a multi-pronged approach to this sort of thing, and it's ongoing. So it's not like it's done just on the heels of an event. It's investigations, both long-term to disrupt and suppress, as well as short-term investigations, are done continually.